Welcome to Ignite to Impact, a weekly podcast that explores what it takes to make your community, our nation, and the world a better place. You've tuned in to be inspired and enlightened as we pull back the curtain and dive into intimate and energetic conversations with achievers and doers. We are talking with leaders who are in the trenches making phenomenal changes through business, nonprofits, education, and the arts. Our goal? To encourage, motivate, and challenge you to go to the next level in leadership. Now, here's your host, Master Leadership Strategist, Dr. Geneva Williams. So, let's ignite to impact.
Hi, this is Dr. Geneva, and welcome again. Welcome. I'm so delighted you're here again for another podcast, another conversation on Ignite to Impact, where we have conversations with folk who are doing fabulous things in their community to create change, to make an impact, to help people. And you know, as I've talked to you lots of times before, I believe that leaders come in all different shapes and sizes and forms. They could be your next door neighbor. They could be a president of a company. They could be a community leader. They could be a young person. And they can be an artist. And today, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of welcoming Mahogany Jones, recording and performance artist, educator, and activist, and she is in with me in studio.
That's right. I'm here with Dr. Geneva.
Right. And she harnesses the true power of music to uplift the spirit, body, and soul and educate the masses. Now, you may have seen her on BET, and if you haven't, you've certainly missed someone, because she has been undefeated for 4 years as the 1-6 and Park Freestyle Fridays champion. And she's gone on to headline in over 13 countries on 4 continents, as she is the official U.S. music ambassador. And as a hip-hop activist, she's launched a Pure movement to empower women and girls and confront violence against women. And there's more. Most recently, Mahogany Jones was named as a Kresge Arts Fellow. So she's just doing it all. And while she's doing it all, she's still taking the time to give back to future leaders in music. She's a facilitator for one of Detroit's largest literary arts nonprofits. She just came into studio from Western Michigan University, where she was doing some phenomenal things at a Michigan Arts Fair with young people. And she also is a proud member of the Foundation, which is a women in hip hop collection based in Detroit. She's been on stage with Gil Scott-Heron, Kim, Ari, The Roots, and most recently was billed alongside Grammy Award-winning rapper Rhapsody at the much publicized and successful Foundation Women in Hip Hop concert. So you see why I am just so thrilled to have Mahogany Jones in studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geneva. That's so loud. I was like, wow, I guess I am pretty busy.
Yes, you are. And you are. And then when you hear all that, see, that's what I'm saying.
You don't think about it.
Right. But see, that's what I feel is the hallmark of a true leader, someone who's really out there making change. You're so busy doing your thing that you don't sweat it. It doesn't take away from everything that you are. It gives you joy. So it's not like you're, doing a whole lot of stuff and tired and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy you're here. Share with us. First of all, let's talk about you and your career as a performance artist.
Well, I've been a performance artist pretty much since I was 18. I am now, it's crazy to say, 38, okay. So about 20 years.
All right.
I started out as a spoken word artist and kind of grew in the burgeoning scene of spoken word with Jessica Care Moore, with Saul Williams, with Sarah Jones, and then discovered I really had a love for hip hop. And around that time, I also had rededicated my life to Christ. So I had a spiritual awakening and an artistic awakening, and they kind of happened at the same time. And so since, I've done albums. I have 3 albums out, 3 mixtapes. I work with a producer who lives here. His name is Ronald Lee Jr., aka Ironically. And yeah, my heart is to create art that inspires people to think and to create change, and for people to know that they're loved by God and that they're meant to do amazing things.
So what started you at the young age of 18? What started you down this path? What happened in your life?
Well, I loved words, always loved words ever since I was little. And it was a good thing because words loved me when in a time in my life I really didn't feel loved by many. I was awkward, I was tall, I was black before being black was good, right? I was fluffy, so to speak, and just all those things just kind of left me in a space where I had a lot of alone time. And so between my friendship with my grandmother and my friendship that I was developing with the page, art was a place where I could really find my voice and hone my voice and get comfortable in who I was. And I love that. And I was just really appreciative for that. And I think it was that exposure and finding like, wow, like I have things to say and I want to help other people who might have things to say, where I kind of found this marriage between sharing my heart and sharing words and music that I thought would really help other people go through hard times, the same way music helped me. And where I discovered that I wanted to also be an educator. I wanted to help people find their voice as well. So yeah, I just feel like life just kind of did its thing, you know.
Yeah, and it just worked together for you. So, you know, in the life of a performer, a performance artist, I would think that there are times when you got some big breaks, some really fantastic, phenomenal opportunities that just kind of popped your career. Can you share some of those with us?
I think, you know, when I had the opportunity to do BET's 106 and Park Freestyle Friday, that was major. And it was interesting because, like I said, around that time was my own spiritual awakening. And I worked at Universal Records. I was a publicity assistant. And the head of Black Music kind of asked me, he's like, well, what do you want? What do you want to do? Do you want a deal? And I just thought about it. And I was like, you know, I really want time to figure out who I am before I sign my life away. And then you tell me who it is that I am. And I may not like the version of what you say I am. So that was a really big break, and I'm happy that I decided to kind of go my own route. So that was definitely one. I would say the next major one was definitely having the opportunity to become a U.S. musical ambassador. I applied for a program called American Music Abroad about 4 years ago. And I was like, Lord, I really want to get this. And when they called me back, it's like, yeah, you know, come and audition. And I auditioned, and then they called me back 2 months later. It's like, well, we have great news for you. You're going on tour. And I was like,
goodness.
And so just learning what that work meant and learning to represent my country, but also represent a culture that I love, that I know empowers people who feel pushed to the edges of society. I think hip hop is such a powerful tool. And so to get to do both, to get to empower other people with hip hop and with finding their voice, and to get to travel the globe and do it on behalf of the United States, I think is brilliant, and I'm super grateful. And of course, Kresge. So becoming a Kresge Fellow last year or this year was a major honor.
And congratulations again. Thank you. A phenomenal honor. So, you know, I want to take those 3 things and that you just talked about, those big breaks, and I want to be able to have our listeners kind of get a sense or feel of what you do, or what those 3 things are. So take us to 106 and Park. What exactly did you do to win 4 times in a row? What did you do?
So
take us there.
I was given an opportunity. I had only been rapping for about a year. And my mentor at the time, Tony Blackman, was like, well, you've been freestyling and you're really good. So you should go on this new show. And it's like, at the time it was new. It's no longer. And I was like, okay. And I was really nervous because the whole idea is to be able to extemporaneously or just off your mind, go against someone else and in a battle of wits, so to speak. Just off cuff, just kind of, battle them.
Do it.
Yeah. So, it was really cool to win each week. And then the last week that I won, I just was like, okay, I asked for 4 times. That's what I prayed for, and I'm good. So I stepped away. So that was that.
So you exited a winner.
I exited a winner.
On top. Top. Okay, that's cool.
Champions.
It's all good.
And the U.S. Musical Ambassador pretty much is a program that throughout the years, it's been going on since the days of Dizzy Gillespie. They, those jazz musicians were actually the first to be musical ambassadors. So they were exported, so to speak, to Russia. And they used jazz to kind of create cultural diplomacy or people-to-people diplomacy using music. And so over the last 20 years, the program, the State Department still uses the program to create people-to-people connections to make the work easier for diplomats who are on ground that want to really provide resources to that country. And so that opportunity, hundreds of people apply every year, and usually it's kind of a one-time deal, but it's ballooned, and I've done other programs, and other embassies have reached out to me since. So like you mentioned earlier, I've been or done ambassador work for about 16 countries since, and I'm planning I'll go to Haiti in October to serve with my band. And so we do performances, we do shows, and we also do workshops. So
phenomenal,
really cool.
Phenomenal. Yeah. And then the Kresge piece, tell us about that. I saw that we were talking earlier in studio that I saw the video that you did that was, oh my goodness, it was so fun. I watched it 3 times. It was great.
Kresge is such an honor because I think people don't recognize, especially doing this. I didn't even stop until you asked me that question. I was like, wow, I've been doing this for 2 decades. And you're just going because it's like what you believe in and it's what you feel like. At least for me, I feel like God purposed me to do. And it doesn't really always come with a financial reward, especially if you want to do music that has integrity. And so I really just love that the Kresge Foundation saw fit to want to honor artists who are making art that represent Detroit and represent Michigan and represent people and say, hey, we don't want you to go anywhere. We value you. We want you to continue to make Detroit what it is culturally, and we appreciate and we need your voice, and we need your voice in visual arts, and we need it in recording arts and in performance arts and in creative writing and in the interdisciplinary arts. We need you, and we value so much that we're going to give you $25,000. No strings attached. Just do your thing. And that was great. It's such an honor only because I not only create music, but I also started something called a Pure Movement with my co-founder Jane Marie Smith, and where we literally take art and we use it to instigate conversations around what it means to protect, to honor, and respect women. And so we've done annual events, 2, and we just came from doing 1, and we partner with AA 490 to do Denim Day Detroit, and we did Jeans and Justice. So we did a fashion show fundraiser, which was phenomenal. But more phenomenal was that the city came together to raise funds to basically eradicate the backlog that we had for unprocessed rape kits. And I do another event called Pure Purple during the month of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, where we just want to create advocates. We want people to be aware of the things that are happening to women's bodies, the things that are just happening to our bodies in general, and to figure out ways to stop and to support those people. So it's just a lot of work that a lot of times you don't have the money. You're just finding magic money to make things happen. And so for Kresge to support me and the other fellows in that way is just, what can you say?
Yeah, what can you say? And then you decided, because you got these this fellowship, these monies with no strings attached, as you said, and you decided to use it to start this movement.
Yeah, I mean, it's the monies were so helpful. I mean, to just be able to have, I mean, a big part of, and you know, any business person, it's like if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it fall? Not in business. You know, you need marketing, you need,
that's right,
you need certain tools to make things happen. So between getting to fund and support my different ventures for a pure movement, and just as an artist, as Mahogany Jones, to have resources that I needed for, you know, to support my business infrastructure. And you know, it's just really great. I'm sad. I think back, I'm like, dang, did you get anything shiny for this?
Yeah, you didn't really. Okay, all right, but that's all right.
It's okay.
It comes back to you tenfold. It's going to come back tenfold. If you're just joining me, I'm having a delightful, informative, great conversation with Mahogany Jones, recording and performance artist, educator, and activist. And we're talking about some of the wonderful opportunities she's had, those big breaks with 106 and Park being the 4-time champions in freestyle, spoken word hip hop, being selected as a U.S. ambassador, and traveling all over the world, visiting countries, 16 countries, performing and creating that people-to-people bond through her artistry. And then finally, the most recent, I won't say last because it's not going to be the last, but the most recent honor being a Kresge Fellow, where she was given a nice piece of change and decided to use it to further the work that she's doing to make a difference in the lives of young girls and women. So I want to continue the conversation about that you're doing and with young girls and women. And you mentioned working with the 490 campaign, and again, that's the African American 490 campaign that's working to help get the remaining rape kits tested in Wayne County. It's led by lots of women are involved, but particularly the leadership of Kim Trent and prosecutor Kim Worthy, who have just been on this issue for the past year, just galvanizing so much terrific support. And you did a Denim Day. And why do you think it's important? I mean, why did you do this? I mean, why was it important for you?
Well, to date back, it's funny because we came up. So let me just go all the way back.
Okay, please take us back.
I'm gonna go way back.
It's all right.
Sicily, 19. I'm
all right.
No. So maybe 5 years ago, it was on my heart to do a project called Pure, and I did this project reluctantly, you know, and those who are offended, I apologize, but you know, I felt like God laid it on my heart to do this project, and I didn't want to do it because I was tired of being my gender being associated with my art. It's like, well, what I have to say is just as valuable, and you wouldn't ask my male counterparts, you know, oh, well, what you have to say is so valuable for the girls. And it's like, well, how come my male counterparts, what they have to say is valuable to girls and guys? Like, what is that about? But did this project, and it was 4 women, and then my friend said, well, this is great, you want people to have critical conversations around women and how we treat women, but what happens after the conversation? You can't have a movement with no moving pieces. And I was like, that's true. So that you know, is where we decided to do the events, and we decided to do social media campaigns and just different things that would engage people. And around that time, months later, we heard the announcement, you know, Kim Worthy had found all these unprocessed rape kits, over 11,000 to be specific, 80% of them belonging to the bodies of Black women in Detroit. And we were outraged. And so my co-founder, who is a survivor of sexual assault, was just like, yeah, this is not right. And started doing some research, found that there was a movement called Denim Day to speak up for survivors and to speak out against victim blaming. And we're like, yeah, we should bring this to the city. And so 4 years ago, we hosted the first Denim Day,
Okay.
and we partnered with Enough Said, which partners with AA 490.
Right.
And so we just been doing these small grassroots events. And then 2 years later, found out about AA 490. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then so I met Kim and I told her about what I was doing. And she's like, this is great, Mahogany. She's like, well, I was like, I would love, could we partner? And she's like, well, I'd love to. And so last year was actually the first time we did a Denim Day and alongside what they were doing. But what they were doing was just so massive and so like on it. Like, okay, no, we are dedicated. We as women are going to take responsibility for our bodies and what's happening and what has happened to us, and we can rally support. And I just thought that was just, what do you say to that other than sign me up? Like, how can I help? So yeah, that is the cause. I think we have to be solutionaries. Everybody wants to be a revolutionary, be a solutionary.
Okay.
It's a
and
problem.
what's that mean?
It's a problem.
Okay.
Figure it out and let's fix it.
Right. Solutions.
Yes.
Let's figure them out. Because we're smart enough to do it. And it's just about that energy and passion and just doing it.
And coming together. I think that's what I really love about AA 490 is the fact that they galvanized women, Black women, to come together. So often we're pit against one another, and nothing moves without collaboration and connectivity and community. It just, it doesn't.
One of my favorite subjects. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that that whole, you get so much out of working together. There's a synergy that's created that you really can't duplicate if you work solo. It's that 1 + 1 = 3.
Yes.
And I know my math.
Yes. Yeah, right.
I know my math. Okay. But when you have that collaboration, that 1 + 1, that equals 3.
Right.
Because it's that power of synergy and it just multiplies. And, I couldn't agree with you more. So now you also, tell us about the education piece that you do. You work with young people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I love
Tell us about that.
People. It's funny, I was, they do Throwback Thursday on social media.
Yes.
And so I usually hate to look at old photos because it's before the glow up, right? It's like, oh, that's so rough. But I was prompted by my friend to go back and look at some old photos, and I found a picture of me when I was about 18 years old, fresh out of high school. And I was at the Wynn Center in Brooklyn, New York, for YWCA or YMCA, and I was a youth counselor. And I was like, man, this is before I even knew I was an arts educator. There was even a thing called arts education. But then even thought way back before that. And it was just like, I appreciate the people who taught me and poured into me. And so getting to do that now, or just getting to pay it forward is such a privilege. And so to get to do it with organizations that have done it and do it so well is a privilege. So working with the Yuinon, which is an organization responsible for Cave of Adullam, is led by Jason and Nicole Wilson. So I've been working with them for about 11 years, doing life skill programming and helping to create the curricula for that, in which I also run Pure. So Pure also has a 12-week program that speaks to self-esteem for young girls. So I'm running that program now in 3 schools, working with Inside Out and teaching art and teaching poetry. And the students at the end who participate, they get a book. So they're published poets when it's all done. So this is my fourth year working with them. And then as of recent, I've been working with Living Arts. And we recently had a amazing gala that I had the pleasure of hosting at the Masonic Temple, and they're great as well because they do all arts, but I really get to focus specifically on teaching the children hip-hop songwriting. And I also teach at DIME, so Detroit Institute Music Education. I'm doing a short course there, and where I work with adults, and I teach adults how to hone their skills, their performance skills, and their writing skills who are interested in becoming rappers or MCs. So it's hard. It's like, oh, do you love being an artist or do you love educating? It's like, oh, it's 50-50.
Well, both.
I love both.
Yes, right. There's nothing wrong with both.
Yeah.
Because you found the magic in just making it all be integrated and part of life in the world. You know, it reminds me of, you know, one of my favorite movies with Ty Diggs and I think it was Sanaa Lathan, Brown Sugar.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know how they talked about, I mean, the whole movie was about love of hip hop.
Yeah.
And it just permeated their whole life, everything they thought about and everything they dreamed about. And in the movie, it just flowed through everything. And it's like what you talk about, how, you know, this hip hop and what you've done with your artistry, and you just make it part of everything.
And I think the culture lends itself to that. That's one thing that I really love about hip hop culture. And I also have the privilege of working with Piper Carter, who founded alongside Miss Corona and Invincible, and a few other women here in Detroit, the Foundation of Women in Hip Hop. And it's great to work with people like that, because you can see where it all can be one. You can merge art and activism and community, and it just, you know, you make it work, you know. So
I love it. Art and activism.
Artivism, as my friend Najima calls it.
Say that again. Say
Artivism. I can't take credit. My friend Najima, she has an organization.
So we're going to give a shout out to her.
Yes, shout out Najima and mine.
All right.
Artivist.
But we heard it on the Ignite to Impact show.
Yes, we did.
Okay. And so, you know, Mahogany, I cannot let you leave studio without you giving us some of that art that you do so well, that spoken word, that hip hop, or hit a note or two for us or something.
Okay,
so come on, take it for us.
I'll do a merge her both.
Okay.
So everyone, just stay encouraged. So I love doing the songs called Keep On Keeping On. Looking for your breakthrough, but you just broke. Used to be on fire, now you just smoke. Working hard for the money so you can make a living. Wages sound minimal, must be making a killing. Dying on the inside, steady fighting the feeling fighting you, giving up so appealing. You can't right now, here's your chance right now. Last round, better get up for you get knocked down, get up. Cause failure's not optional, it's like snow in a climate that's tropical. Hover words that there's not possible. Hover words you can do the impossible. So pick up the pace and fix your facing. This is not a time to get complacent. Go for the goal, cause goals are meant for chasing. Challenges and hurdles meant for facing. So keep on keeping on. Even though life gets hard, I need you to keep on keeping on. Even though life gets hard, I need you to keep on keeping on.
Ooh, keep on keeping on, girl. Thank you for bringing that to us. Oh my goodness, it's just wonderful. You know, again, you're one of the jewels. I mean, yes, so Kresge recognized it, the community recognized it. We here on Ignite to Impact recognize it. I just want to thank you so much for, you know, again, I'm going to thank you for your art and your talent, and recognize and respect your talent, because, you know, you deserve it. That's what you get. But I'm going to tell you, I'm really saving my biggest shout out for what you do for our young people and trying to make a difference in our community and in our neighborhoods. It's just phenomenal work, and you were just listing all the stuff that you doing. And I know you ain't tired, because I know your spirit is fulfilled, because, you know, that's what's said. You know, giving back just doesn't feel good. It's also good for your mental health, for your spirit, because it gives you that, and you bring all that. So, you know, thank you
for the work that you're doing, highlighting people who are out here doing the work and doing it so well and so flawlessly. Y'all, let me tell y'all, she is bad. I don't know if y'all know how bad she is, but she is bad. Okay, y'all?
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us, and gonna have you back.
Please have me back. So you guys, make sure www.mahoganyjones.com.
Love it.
Make sure you hit me up, and thank you again so much, Dr. Geneva. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for listening. Ignite to Impact.
You've been listening to Ignite to Impact. Your host is Dr. Geneva Williams, an award-winning executive, facilitator, and master leadership strategist. Dr. Geneva is dedicated to inspiring others to get their leadership on. and equipping the next generation with leadership tools and tips to help make the world a better place. Sign up to download Dr. Geneva's mini ebook on leadership. Get the show notes, links, and other resources at drgenevaspeaks.com. That's drgenevaspeaks.com. Thanks for listening. Please share the podcast to those in your community via Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google+, and leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. When you do that, it helps others find the podcast easier. Send your questions or comments to info@drgenevaspeaks.com.